Okay, today we'd like to talk to you about the Stoney Littleton formation that appeared on the 7th of June near Wellow in Somerset. Michael's taken a look at this and come up with more geometric revelations. So Michael's prepared some cards, and we're going to go through that with you now so you can see what he's found out. Another one, Michael. You've been full-time at this, haven't you?
Well, I've not been full-time, they've been full-time. I just follow on. I'm dragged in the wake of the comet.
As ever, you're right.
As ever. Right.
But you're keeping up the pace.
Trying. This is what it was like. And all one can say about it is that this has a beauty and a simplicity which struck me immediately. So I went back to try and unpick the way it was put together to see if it had any information for us as usual. It never answers the questions, it always asks more questions. But have a look at the next one, turn it round.
On the other side.
What is overwhelming about this formation is that it's actually a formation that talks very significantly about number and relationship between numbers.
Relationships.
And what it's based on is this grid of 4 squares, making an 8 by 8 grid, because each square is 2 units by 2 units, and I'll clarify this later.
Okay.
But fundamentally it's an 8 by 8 grid, 4 by 4 squares,
right,
within which is precisely positioned a single circle of, by definition, because it fits in it, diameter 8 units.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, clear.
Now the thing about this, we're going to be positioning the elements on the grid.
Okay.
But the elements, which are largely circles of diameter 2, do not fit within the 2 by 2 squares, remarkably.
They don't?
They fit on the grid lines.
Okay.
They centre themselves on the grid lines, and I'll show you.
Okay.
Next slide.
So when you say element, this is the element of the formation.
That is the basic element.
Okay.
The basic circle of diameter 2.
Okay.
And the way the circle is built up is that there is the fundamental circle unit at the centre.
Okay.
That is diameter 1.
Right, so this small circle in the centre we're calling diameter 1.
Diameter 1.
Okay.
1 unit.
Okay.
And it's surrounded by a larger circle of diameter 2.
Okay.
Which means that the ring has a width of half. So that half, 1, half makes 2 across.
Got you.
Now that circle, if slid half a module to the left or right, and half a module up or down, would precisely sit within the square.
Okay.
But the way these circles are positioned is always centred on
the crossover.
The crossover of the grid line.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, got you.
Next slide. No, turn it around. Now, what I've done here is duplicate, or as I said before, triplicate the circle to show the standard circle duplicated above and below at the limit of the thing. Now, when I first saw this formation, there's 5 in a row, I was reminded of the previous thing we did at Liddington, where we had 5 circles in a row defining the diameter of a big circle.
Yes.
In this case, we don't, because we're working here on the half module.
The crossover points.
So the big circle, the 8 diameter circle, cuts through the centre of number 1 and number 5.
Got you.
So half of each circle is left out, so that in fact there are 4 circles, or the dimensions of 4 circles, giving us the diameter of that.
Okay.
So 4 times diameter 2 equals diameter 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide. Now, we simply, in this one, put on the central quintuplet.
Yeah. And the remaining 2 circles.
And
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, of course, that's included.
put
But
the remaining 2 circles in.
these
there.
are very similar to the standard circles.
They're simply reversed in black to white, standing to laid.
Got you.
And we've added this orbit circle.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 circles are standard diameter 1. So
The same that appear in
Yeah.
the centre here, yeah.
So those 2 circles are the same as the centres of the 5 circles coming up.
Okay.
The orbit ring is 4 in diameter, 4 units in diameter, so that would sit over 2 of our squares,
Right.
but it's on grid lines. No, it is actually right here. The grid line there goes to there and there, so that does relate within a 2 by 2 square.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
next. We missed that out, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't?
No. Now, to show how this builds up and how it's dependent on the importance of proportion and ratio, that having established it, the whole thing unfolds around Euclid's second equation, which is that if you form a circle,
Yeah.
you place an equilateral triangle within it,
Yeah.
and within that you place another circle.
Okay.
The ratio of the big circle, the enclosing circle, to the smaller enclosed circle
Yeah.
is 2 to 1.
2 to 1. Right.
Always.
Always.
It's a beautiful thing, and the circle makers seem to love this idea. They're showing us the 2 to 1 ratio. Now, in the top circle, in the top one here,
Yeah.
with the purple triangle superimposed over it,
Right.
you will see that the larger black circle, diameter 2,
Mm-hmm.
contains the equilateral triangle at its point.
Yep. Yep.
And that triangle contains a smaller circle, our central standard circle,
Yep.
but that contained circle is contained by the centre of each of the surface lines of the triangle.
It's just touching up against the edges there. It fits neatly
Yes.
in. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So that this purple event celebrates the 1 to 2 ratio, the 1 to 2 proportion, in a very simple manner.
Yeah.
But if we then move down to the pale blue,
Yeah.
we'll find that the containing circle is diameter 4,
Yes.
as we've already
Established.
discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So the diameter 4 circle contains the equilateral, which in turn contains a diameter 2 circle,
Yeah.
our standard diameter 2.
Got you.
So this is in a way a fractal, because
It's growing.
it grows and it is self-similar
Yeah.
at all scales.
Yeah.
Next, which is this.
Mm-hmm.
What we have here is a triangle contained in the biggest circle, which is 8 units
Yeah.
in diameter. The triangle inevitably contains a smaller circle, which has to be 4 diameter, which it is. Now, who are these people?
Showing off in a humorous way. It's just demonstrating eternal truths. This 2-to-1 ratio and fractals in a really...
And you would never look, if we go back to this, you would never look at that and say...
No.
You would never start to understand the density of engineering and design and thinking through that has gone into layering the richness of this thing, so that every take there are more discoveries.
Yeah.
But it doesn't finish there. Next slide.
The next slide is this one.
When I put this together, I noticed entirely by accident that the third circle, 1, 2, 3 down,
Yeah.
and the third circle here, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
was our standard circle.
Diameter 1.
Standard diameter.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to notice that they were in a straight arc.
Uh-huh.
Now, this could be an accident, of course, but it's an accident of some perfection. Though I must admit, it's not quite as perfect in reality as it was in my diagram.
Right.
But I think the intent is there.
Okay.
Now, I showed this to our dear friend Janine Cronin, who immediately said, where do those lines point on site?
Right, yeah.
So we took the photograph and we found that those lines precisely tangented and encompassed this very beautiful little known long barrow. Now, I said this before, I say it every time I come on screen, it's boring. I'm just blown away. Maybe I need a scientific education to flatten me out a bit. But I don't think, this is not accidental.
No, it's not coincidental. And of course, when we look at John Martineau's work,
with the tangent,
it was established very early on that they were wanting us to look at things tangentially.
Yes.
And when we do, not only do we get different results from our inquiries into life itself, but we get different results in terms of the way that they're trying to point things out to us.
It is very metaphorical.
Yes.
Because the Cartesian Newtonian view of the world would want you to look at things straight on.
Absolutely.
And what perhaps the crop circles are saying are, look along the side.
Look at the corner of your eye, maybe.
Just take your thought sliding by.
Yeah.
Go past the thing.
Yeah.
Instead of straight on the centre. This is what they've been reiterating since the early 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, the relationship always with monuments and features on the land has always been the line, insofar as crop circles do have alignments, always goes past the edge of a landscape feature. It never points at the very centre of it.
Right.
And I think there are symbolic lessons there.
I think so too, yeah, definitely. The point is, though, is that, as you said, when you look at the first slide, you don't see any of this.
No.
And so, we mentioned this in the last talk we had with Karen about how you move in at different levels, and
yes.
It's almost like, Indiana Jones going through a cave, really, and finding different puzzles and little clues as you go along. It's
the other point that I have to make, and you can edit this out if you want, is that it's in beans.
Yes.
It's a bean field formation.
Beans.
It's in broad beans, which the cattle feed. And what's very nice about it is, first, it has no tram lines, but second, it's very low, and it's cut almost like a cookie
Yeah.
cutter.
Yeah.
So it makes very specific architectural enclosures. It's very pretty, you know, and it's one of the few formations we've had this year which have escaped the paranoid depredations of researchers who say, oh, it's man-made, it's man-made, it's man-made. Nobody has said this is man-made.
No, you're right. It's gone completely by, hasn't it?
And I have to tell you, this has so much evidence that it's man-made, i.e. zero, like all of them. I mean, they never produce evidence for it, and there's no evidence here. And in time, one will unpick and unfold all the formations which have been so roundly abused by paranoiacs, and will find evidence that is beyond the wit of man.
Yes.
But it takes a bit of time.
It takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of work, it takes thinking in the right direction. For me, there's overwhelming evidence in what you've discovered of serious intelligence and serious creativity and serious thought and work that's gone into construction.
Serious pattern and purpose and intent and wit.
It's gone on for a long time, Michael, isn't it? It's still going on. And this year particularly, they seem to really be enclosing, drawing our attention to these existing features on the landscape.
Yes,
Old Sarum and
the castles, the formation, the forts, the barrows.
Yeah, definitely. There's something in that too.
Yeah.
Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.